In 2015, the fourth Adventure Time game was released. That's right, they released Adventure Time games in back-to-back years. However, all four Adventure Time games are different genres. This game, Finn and Jake Investigations, is a detective game with combat dispersed throughout. But do they manage to strike gold with the game like the first game, create a frustrating experience like the second game, or a painfully mediocre one like the last? Let's try getting into this thing. So this game, unlike the last three, wasn't developed by WayForward, but instead by Vicious Cycle Software. They developed some of the Ben 10 games. Little Orbit is still publishing. This game even references their last game. This game is another first for the Adventure Time video game series as well. It has full 3D graphics, which turn out okay. I really can't comprehend why they switched to 3D graphics. These are harder to make, and when done cheaply, like these are, look way worse than the 2D style of the last games. Speaking of 3D graphics, I have to talk about the Steam post that the publishers made. This was made 4 years after the game came out, by the way, 1 week before they took it off of Steam. First they had to clarify that it's not an April Fool's joke, which is kind of funny. Then they say they pushed for the questionable graphical changes, which is weird and not really understandable. They then go on to say the developer went out of business right after the game came out, which is true. They only made one game after this one. Finally, they explained they're traditionally a retail game publisher, and they didn't even know the Steam forum existed. Apparently this game was buggy, but I didn't actually run into any bugs while playing through it. I thought I should show you this post, as it really does explain some things about this game, the last ones, and the one coming up. Back to the actual game. It's so weird. First, the game is split into 5 cases, all about an hour or so long. The game is a detective game, as Finn and Jake decide to become investigators like their parents. The game has 2 different modes. First is detective mode, which is about 95% of the whole game. This comes down to just touching everything that's shiny and then you move on to the next area. The game also has a crafting system, which is limited and hard to figure out what you need to put together. The detective sequences can be quite a bore, and you don't get much relief with the combat sequences either. The combat, just like the rest of this game, is incredibly weird. Basically, you just swing your sword until you charge up the Finn and Jake meter. Once that's filled up, you have 2 options. One is a Jake attack. These range from useless to slightly better than a regular attack. The other, much better option is a special sword attack. These attacks change depending on what sword you have equipped. You can select 5 or so swords throughout the game, the only difference between them being their special attack. They do many different things, from trapping your enemy to running attacks on them. The fights are incredibly easy, partially due to the fact that you literally cannot lose. Seriously, there's no health bar. The less you get hit, the more money you get, but you can't see that number, and you can't spend the money, so there's not really a point of trying hard at all. The gameplay becomes this loop over and over again until you eventually finish the case. The game is relatively short, which is good considering it runs out of gameplay ideas an hour in. This game also apparently had DLC, but the game has been discontinued, so I can't find it and buy it. Anyway, this game is just painfully easy, so you can just kind of coast through it. The music, no longer being made by WayForward, is extremely boring and simple. The entire OST is only about 20 minutes long, which seems like one continuous track. The game also has some off noise effects. This screaming goes on for like 10 minutes.
It's worse than music, alright.
Yeah, at least it's not making us dance.
Hey guys, if you're not gonna
The game is saved by its writing and its voice acting. While not being as good as the show, the writing is at least tolerable and gives you something to focus on. I especially like the last case where you go and get all the characters you've interacted with to join a band. The game is fully voiced, and most of the cast is here. The only absence is Huntress Wizard's actress, but Olivia Olson does a fine job filling in. The game makes references to other games in the series, and even to the show. The game features most of the main cast and a lot of the side characters, which is a great touch, and is always appreciated in a licensed game like this. So that's the 4th and second to last Adventure Time game. The gameplay is as simple as ever before. The thing that saves this game from being a low score is the same thing that saves many bad games, the difficulty. This game is short and easy. While not being particularly fun, it is not too long, about 4 hours, and does not overstay its welcome. I can, however, being upset if you paid full price for the game, only for it to be super short. There is literally nothing to do after beating it though. It literally deletes your save file. The gameplay and music, despite being basic, are helped tremendously by the voice acting and writing. I'm giving this game a 4 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Next week I'll be covering the last Adventure Time game, Pirates of the Enchiridion. See you then.